Hello, Cougar Nation. Welcome back inside Studio B at the BYU Broadcasting Building in Provo for our Game 11 edition of the Coordinator's Corner, our weekly BYU football conversations with the Cougars coordinating coaches. Coming up on today's broadcast, we will look back at BYU's wire-to-wire blowout win over TCU. The Cougs with the win, now 11th in both major polls, with the new CFP rankings due out tomorrow. On today's show, visiting with BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill and offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick. And we kick off our broadcast with the Cougars, DC, safeties coach and associate head coach Jay Hill. Coach Hill, good to see you once again.
So good to be with you.
All right, back at LaVell Edwards Stadium you were for the first time in 4 weeks. How nice to be back in front of a fifth consecutive sellout crowd.
Well, our fans are amazing. We talk about it all the time. They were loud. They were there early. They were a huge home field advantage for us, as they always are, and it was great to be back home.
It did feel like a long time away, didn't it?
It did. It was too long away.
The Utah game, then a break, a road game, a bye week, a road game, and then finally back at home. But it was awesome. And again, you never take a sellout for granted these days. That's a lot of people to fill a building, and it's always a great show. And you guys put on a great show.
Well, and it's more than just a sellout. They're loud. They're in the game. They cheer. They get crazy at the fourth quarter. I mean, just everything about the atmosphere in the stadium is amazing.
And after Saturday, BYU is now 36-4 in its last 40 night games, 26-3 in the last 29 home night games. We know every game has its own character, and you can't just say day, night, but there's something special about this team late in the day, it seems.
Well, especially in our home stadium at night is amazing. I think Coach Kalani's done a great job of getting the team used to playing night games because we get so many of them. I think our routine, we do a good job with that.
All right, 2 years ago, in your first season as defensive coordinator, TCU beat BYU 44-11. 2 years later, almost the exact score flipped the other way.
Well, I think a lot of it was a couple of years ago. They were super talented. We didn't make plays, they did. And then in this game, they come in again very talented. Now I think we're a better football team than we were 2 years ago. And we made the plays right from the get-go that, ultimately ended up in us winning. But it comes down to making plays.
Josh Hoover made his first career start against BYU 2 years ago. He went 37-58, 458 and 4 scores. Quite the first impression. And he's been very good over 3 seasons. What was the key to handling Hoover this time around?
Well, we knew we needed to change up the coverages. We needed to mix up the looks he was getting. We played a little bit more cover 2 and 2 high safety looks. We were really trying to force them to have to run the ball, which they did, and they did effectively at times. But we did not want the quarterback to get going, and so to hold him to only 10 completions was a huge deal.
Great first quarter for BYU on Saturday night. Defensive sequence opening for BYU. Saw TCU get into BYU territory, but a third down sack helped keep the Horned Frogs out of field goal territory. And I think it was Tausili and JT maybe be involved on that first sack you got.
Yeah, we were able to get him off his spot, which we wanted to do. We didn't want him just to be able to sit in the pocket and be comfortable. So we were able to get him off his spot. He gets flushed to his right here.
It's actually Noose, right?
Yep, and then JT and Tausili are the ones that run him out and actually get the sack. But Noosey's the one that came across the edge and got him, to first flush from the pocket.
And we're seeing some good things from number 5, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Now, both him and Tausili are doing a lot of good things. The D-line in general, I think our coaches have done a great job with those guys.
All right, so after that, a couple plays later, they punt and pin, but the offense responds with a 91-yard touchdown drive. Now it's 10-0. An early example of complementary football on display. Really solid opening quarter for you guys.
Yeah, super good. The offense scored on, I think, their first 6 or 7 drives of the game.
7, yeah.
They were absolutely outstanding this game. We did, for the most part, a pretty good job of getting them the ball back, but, man, they were on such a roll that all we had to do was get stops and get them the ball, and the score just kept inflating.
Yeah. The first 2 TCU drives result in punts. So it's 17-0 before the Horned Frogs actually get their first score on the board in the second quarter. But again, it's only a field goal after getting into the BYU red zone. First and goal from the 10, and they had to settle for 3.
Well, we've talked about all year being good in the red zone and forcing field goals. We've done that really well this year, one of the best in the country at it. And again, most of the time this comes down to just somebody making a play here. Obviously, we got tight coverage by Morey. You just got to stiffen up down here, which we have, and done a good job of that. So.
An excellent job of that. BYU is one of the best teams at keeping opponents out of the end zone when they get to the red zone. And again, they set up for a field goal here, and this is what you want to do, minimize the points against, and you did it there. And the red zone defense numbers, 10th in red zone scoring percentage defense, 4th in red zone touchdown percentage defense. Out of 37, here we have it, 37 red zone drives defended, 13 touchdowns, basically one of every 3.
Yeah, that's good. And 37 is not excessive down there. It's a few too many, but when they are getting down there, our team's doing a great job of keeping them out of the end zone.
Okay, so we see a TCU field goal there, but BYU answers the TCU field goal with another long touchdown drive. So now it's 24-3 Cougs at that point. 27-10 lead at the break after a nice 2-minute drive by the offense to get points on right before the half. But you knew TCU would start the second half with the ball. That's why I thought those points right before halftime were pretty important for you guys. Even only a field goal was big.
Yeah, winning that middle 8 we talk about a lot is a huge stat in football. Our offense has been really good in those end of half drives, putting points on the board. That just gives you a little bit of momentum and mojo going in at halftime. Then we were able to go in and make some adjustments, and then again, coming out in the second half, it's all about getting a stop and getting the offense the ball back so they can just extend that lead, which they've been so good at.
Since you played so well, what were you thinking about in terms of adjusting at halftime?
Well, there were things to clean up for sure. The touchdown drive was really the only disappointing thing in the game. We had a couple mistakes. We had opportunities to get out of the drive, which we didn't do. And then I was really disappointed in the touchdown run. So we had some things to clean up. We talked through some pressures and some other things that we wanted to do. If we could extend the lead a little bit further, then we knew that they had to throw it a little bit more. And that's when we were able to dial up some of the blitzes in the second half.
You led by 17 at half. In the Kalani Sitake era now, BYU is 37-1 at home when leading at the break, 20-0 at home when leading by 14 or more at halftime. BYU tends to hold on to a nice cushion at the break, and you did that again on Saturday.
We did. We should just do that more often.
I always say that. Just keep doing it. We are back on the Coordinator's Corner, chatting with BYU Defensive Coordinator Jay Hill, and wrapping up our recap of the big 44-13 win over TCU on Saturday. Cougs now 9-1 for a second consecutive season, 2 wins away from a spot in the Big 12 title game. BYU led 27-10 at halftime against the Horned Frogs. TCU got the ball to open the second half. And again, Coach, a TCU red zone possession ends up in a field goal. They got to the 19-yard line. 3 plays later, they're kicking for 3 points.
Well, again, that's just the resilience of the defense. I think they've done a good job. We bent, but we don't break very much. We got to quit bending.
Whether it's sudden changes that give you a short field to have to defend or red zone, it seems these guys kind of know that when teams get inside the 20, it's always time to go to work, but they really are proud, I think, of the red zone numbers you put up.
Well, they are definitely proud of it, and they know the importance of it, too, because every time you obviously keep 4 points off the board and kicking a field goal versus a touchdown, that's a huge deal, and obviously the drop doesn't hurt us. Yeah,
you'll take that when you can get it, and there's the field goal for TCU. BYU would answer with a field goal, so it was a 3-all third quarter, I think. So we're 30-13 late in the third. Then becomes the first takeaway of the day, because there were no turnovers for either team to that point, and it comes from one of your starting safeties, Faletau Satuala.
Well, I think both teams know the importance of taking care of the football. They don't turn it over much, neither do we. And, this ended up being one of the biggest plays in the game because it finally gives a short field. And, it showed that the quarterback just was not comfortable all night with what was going on in the secondary. And then I love the excitement and juice on the sideline after this play. Everyone knew how big of a play this was. So.
He's got really good hand skills, ball skills. His pick at Iowa State's kind of epic, and even there, that's a tough ball to snag.
He has some of the best ball skills I've ever seen. In high school, he was a phenomenal wide receiver, so he continues to do that here. He's only going to continue to make big interceptions here.
So for Fale, that's 3 picks on the year, 4 for the career. He's turning into one of the more promising safeties I think BYU's had, and one of the best in the Big 12. And he's young.
I agree. He's young. He's one of the best we've had. He'll be one of the best ever, and I think he'll be one of the best in the country before it's all said and done. So love coaching him. He just shows up every day excited about football and excited to get better.
After a sudden change play, you always want points on the other side of that play, and BYU did score with L.J. Martin, a touchdown to make it 37-13 early in the fourth quarter. Again, it's the complementary side of things. Defense does its job, and the offense does the rest.
Yeah, they were so good in that game at just responding and keeping the pressure on TCU. Again, we talked about the consecutive drives that score or ended in points, and that's such a huge deal as a team, and it really put the pressure on TCU.
And they actually respond with a couple of 3-and-outs, or your defense responds with a couple of 3-and-outs. The second 3-and-out included, we had, I think, the first career sack in the career of corner Evan Johnson.
Yeah, that was so big. We had actually repped this a couple times, tried to clean it up a little bit, and then when we do it on game day, we actually run it wrong, but it ends up working perfectly.
What was wrong about that?
We were supposed to have the D tackle going to the field, but the way he actually ran it helped, so maybe we're going to have to put it in this way.
We had, they call him Shmev. We had Shmev as our guest on the Kalani show last Tuesday. What a character. What a fun personality he's got.
We love having him. He's playing really, really well right now. His coverage skills are elite, in my opinion. He's really bought into our scheme and philosophies and techniques. I'm really happy with the way he's playing right now.
He's carried really low opposing pass efficiency numbers when they target him. What does make him such a great cover guy?
No, I just think he trusts his speed and ability, but more than anything, he's just really become a technician and does things the way we've really asked him to do it, and he's playing well because of it.
How much of playing defensive back in your system is the athleticism part of it as opposed to the mental? Like, what's the correct balance between the mental and the physical in the way you run things?
I don't know percentage-wise what that is, but it's both for sure. You got to have the mental capabilities to be able to put a good or a bad play behind you and move on to the next one. You have to have the physical capabilities to go up there and play press man, because some guys just can't do it. So it's definitely both.
We're 37-13 late in the fourth, and after a giveaway on special teams, BYU's second takeaway of the day to get back in the positive side of the margin, and it was your other starting safety, Tanner Wall, with his first touchdown, he told us, since his high school days 8 years ago back in Virginia.
Well, what's crazy about this, he's been so close.
I know.
A couple times. It seems like his interceptions end right around the 1 yard line, and then this one, it was so good to get him in all the way. I love the effort of the defensive guys trying to catch up. It's good effort by the TCU guys. That shows you that to TCU, they play the game the right way. They play hard. They don't give up. You can see that in the effort of them chasing down Tanner. But I love this. This goes back to Tanner's offensive days, getting in the end zone.
And he would not be denied. The dive and the score, great to see. For Tanner, that's 3 picks on the year. That's 6 for the career, whether it's on the field or off. And there's a lot of off. He's a leader.
An absolute leader, one of those guys that epitomizes what we want to coach here at BYU. He's a great person. He's a great student. He makes plays on the field. The Cougar Nation should be proud to call him their own. You
know, some guys in your defensive backfield may come in highly touted, and you know they're going to be good and they're great. Tanner didn't come in that way. His journey to being what he is for you is different.
Well, and he had to earn it. Because I didn't give him anything. He had to work his way up the depth chart, and he had to prove to me that he could do it athletically and mentally and all those things. And now he's become one of those players that I most trust, but that was not given to him. He had to earn everything that he's received here.
He began on the other side of the ball when he got to BYU.
Yeah. And at the time when he was talking about coming over to safety, I didn't know if we had a spot. I didn't know what that was going to look like, and luckily we weren't dumb and we did that.
Yeah, good decisions all around. Yeah. Under Kalani Sitake, by the way, the Cougs now 20-4 with 10 consecutive wins when a touchdown scored on defense or special teams. Such a game-changing part of the sport.
Oh, it is. It's just huge, and I think that those stats are only going to get better and better in our favor as we continue to get better and better athletically with recruiting, the Big 12, all that stuff. I just think it's going to get better and better.
I think what you said off the top is important too. I mean, the big difference between what happened at TCU 2 years ago and Saturday was you're a better program than you were. That was your first year as a Big 12 program.
Well, we're better. As players, coaches, program, I think everything just continues to ratchet up, which is a good thing. We're moving in the right direction.
All right, after the pick six we just saw, 44-13 Cougs. One last TCU drive to talk about, because it comes against mostly your backups, if not all your backups at that point. And it's another red zone possession for TCU, but it comes up empty. Got to a 3rd and 1, defense stood tall. Big stop on 3rd, a couple of false starts, then you get a sack to basically end the game. But this was against your reserves. How important was it that they play that way at the end?
Well, I know I hear that some of the fans get frustrated about style points, and we got to keep them down. But the reality is, for the future of the program, we need these guys to play. We need to get big leads. We need to get these guys in the game. And then the last thing you want to do is have your starters in late in the game and lose someone critical to our success. And so the reps that these guys got is big. For them to come out of this drive was huge. I was playing in a way where I didn't want to give them a cheap, fast one down the sideline or something, so we were playing a little bit more too high. We gave up a little more rush yardage than we wanted, but bottom line, I think they responded well.
And I'm sure these reserve defenders were highly motivated to keep the Frogs off the board there at the end.
They were. They understand the importance of keeping points off the board, but again, we need Nusi out there, and we need those young guys getting reps because they're the future of the program, and these guys are going to be great players for us. Those reps are critical for them.
Okay. Defense played, I thought, really well in Lubbock, and it really wasn't kind of on the defense that game got away from BYU. But as a team, what a great bounce back, right? Because both teams, BYU and TCU, were coming off of tough losses. Yeah. And so you both had a bounce back opportunity, and you guys responded with flying colors.
Well, I thought as a team, offense, defense, special teams, there was so much good that we did. I'm proud of the players for the way they responded because Texas Tech was difficult, right? We went down there, and really we didn't play poorly, but we didn't make any plays to win the game. In this game, we made plays.
Defensive numbers were outstanding against TCU, which I know you respected as an offense, right? This is a good outing against a good football team.
This is a very good offense. They were top 15 in the country on third downs, and we held them to 1 for 10. They were putting up all kinds of yards and points, and we kept them down in those situations. It was the worst yardage passing game that this quarterback's ever had. So there were so many good things that we did. Pass efficiency was awesome. Anyway, bottom line, a lot of good.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. The 1 for 10 on third downs from a good third down team.
Yeah, they were. I mean, this was a good offense. Like, those two wideouts were two of the best in the Big 12. The quarterback has had some of the best games in the Big 12. 2 years ago, that quarterback went off against us. So to play the way we did and only give up 10 completions and a low pass efficiency rating was a great response to what happened down there a couple years ago.
I saw the Biletnikoff semifinalist list came out today, top wide receiver in the country, and Eric McAllister from TCU is on that list. He had a decent day, didn't get totally away from you, and it's a guy you really have to handle. It's a great wide receiver.
Well, he is a great wide receiver, and that's why I say I don't want to downplay anything about TCU. I think they do a great job. They've got great coaches. They played for a national championship in the last 3 years. I mean, that is a good program with good players, and I thought our guys responded well to what we needed to do to get the game.
First win of 30-plus points against a power conference opponent in the Kalani era. All right, let's get some players of the game then for you. Defensive players of the game, who'd you like?
Well, I love Keanu Tanavasa. I think he's played his best football the last 3 or 4 weeks. He was extremely disruptive, and really a lot of times he was getting pressure with just 3-man pass rushes. And then I love Tanner Wall. His play was maybe the play of the game, and to score on defense is a big deal.
If we find ourselves on radio saying Keanu's name more lately, how can you say about the way he has progressed through the season for BYU?
Well, it's different for those kids to come in and the techniques change and the schemes change and all that stuff. I just think he's settling into his own. You can see his physicality right there. I mean, there's a lot of plays in this game where he looks like a man amongst boys, and his physicality is critical for us down the stretch. And then again, Tanner Wall's leadership and playmaking has been huge for us.
Defensive line note, I know that Anisi came off the report last week, so he was available, but maybe next week for Anisi to get him back in the mix?
Yeah, we expect him to play more and more as he continues to recover from that hand.
Great. No one's perfectly healthy this time of year, of course, but would you say going into your final 2 games that you feel pretty good about the guys who were able to suit up for you at this point?
We do. We're relatively healthy right now. We're banged up, but so is everybody, and if someone's out, then we need the next guy to step up. That's college football, and that's how it's always going to be. And sometimes at the end of the season, you're on fumes, and you just got to figure out how to win.
Coach Kelly Papinga gave us his player of the game, Will Farron, on special teams. Will had a nice day.
Well, how about those huge field goals that he made? Just to have a kicker like that you feel like every time he steps on the field is automatic is a big deal. His kickoffs are a big deal. Just, we don't have to cover very many kicks. And anyway, he's an absolute weapon for us.
All right, players of the game. Coach Papinga gives us Will Farron, and we saw Keanu and Tanner Wall from defense. Back on the coordinator's corner and visiting with BYU defensive coordinator, safeties coach, and associate head coach Jay Hill. Coach Hill and the Cougs looking to go 10-1 this weekend at Cincinnati. It's an 8 p.m. Eastern time kick. The Cougs have gone 16-1 in their last 17 away neutral night games. This preview look at Cincinnati is brought to you by Intermountain Health, the official medical provider for BYU athletics. Right, the Bearcats dropped back-to-back games, losing at Utah and then falling at home to Arizona. So they're 7-3, 5-2 in the Big 12, trying to keep themselves in the Big 12 title chase.
They are. This is a very good football team. I mean, 2 weeks ago, before the Utah game, they were ranked top 20. They were rolling and playing really well, especially on offense. The quarterback's one of the best in the country. So this is a good football team we get to play this week.
Some defensive numbers, or offensive numbers, I should say, of note. And a couple of those, the first two, reflect how much heat they do or don't allow. And keeping Brendan Sorsby upright is something they do pretty well.
Well, yeah, like I say, Sorsby is a really good quarterback. He can run it, he can throw it. He's got weapons on the perimeter to throw to. They've been running the ball very effectively, especially the last 2 weeks. They've hit big runs against Arizona and Utah, so we got our work cut out for us.
Well, the same scenario that existed last week exists this week. You just got to keep winning football games.
Well, the best part about this is you want to be in these positions, and there's a lot of teams, SEC, Big Ten. If you don't win, you're out. And the reason we're in this position because we won. And so we will thrive on this. This is what we want to be. You got to win to be in this position. We have. So.
Yeah, how fired up are these guys to know that they're in the mix for this kind of thing? You know, in the days of independence, and you weren't a part of a lot of them, but this wasn't something you could play for. Now you're in a position to play for the biggest prizes in the game right now.
We are. We're right in the mix, and we're playing the best teams in the country. Where in independence at the end of the year wasn't necessarily that way. Now we got, I mean, you just look at the schedule for the last 6 weeks, and everyone talked about how hard it was going to be and all those things, but we just made it through a gauntlet, and it continues. And so this is part of it.